Hey guys, how's it going? I want to talk about a topic that has been something that I feel like I struggle with a lot over my life, and it's the topic of rejection. And feeling rejected can be very painful, but I believe that it can be very painful depending on the way you think about it, or the way you deal with it, or the way you set in motion a change of thoughts and beliefs that cause more suffering than is actually necessary in a situation where you are being rejected. Because being rejected, I believe, is nothing more than a mismatch of a current there's a current misalignment between two or more people. And this misalignment can be timing, it can be values, it can be mood, it can be state of mind, it can be environment. There's so many different things that can cause a rejection to actually manifest. And we as humans usually tend to take rejections very, very personally. I know I did and often still do. However, I found different ways to reduce the amount of suffering that I feel whenever I get presumably rejected, because rejection can also be something very subjective. It can feel as a rejection when it's actually not a real rejection. So the way we perceive things, the way we interpret things can enhance the experience or make it worse, right? So a very useful framework to adopt in situations like this is, I believe, to look at it from the perspective of there is just a mismatch between the current energies of the two people that are interacting. And it's not something personal. It is personal in the sense that you both are not aligned properly, but it's not personal in the sense that you are a lesser person because you are being rejected. When somebody rejects you, it usually is because you have a certain want or a certain expectation, certain desire, and that desire, want, or expectation is not being fulfilled. That is kind of what rejection comes down to, right? Like you are maybe interested in someone and you expect them to be equally interested, or you expect them to reciprocate your feelings of interest, and they don't, and they kind of dismiss your interest, or they don't really engage with it, then you can experience that as a rejection, or it can be a hard no, right? Personally, I prefer a hard no rather than kind of like a undefined, fizzled out, kind of avoidant, awkward rejection in a sense. I prefer like you're just not really my person, or I'm not really feeling it right now, and I would prefer not to continue, or I would prefer not to do that, or whatever it is. I prefer that type of rejection because then it's more clear. Otherwise, there might still be this. There's more doubt involved, and I think that this doubt can cause more suffering. So, a useful framework to apply in a situation where you feel rejected is to try to pinpoint where the rejection happens for you personally. So what do I feel rejected for, right? Do I feel rejected for my personality? Do I feel rejected for a desire that I had that is not being answered? Do I feel rejected for a certain specific behavior that I engaged in? What is it that I feel rejected for? And then when you can figure out what it is exactly that the rejection revolves around, you can then look for, how would I say, like the severity of the rejection, if you will. Like if it's you are being rejected for a specific behavior, for example, you engage in, then you can ask yourself, okay, was this really me? What are the circumstances? What was the purpose of this behavior, etc. And you can like learn something from this, right? Because sometimes you engage in a behavior that should be rejected by other people, for you to actually like learn that it's not appropriate to do that in that situation, for example. Or another way is like you're being rejected and it points out some weak links in your personality, for example, right? It can bring forth things that you can improve on. So by approaching the rejection more as a piece of information, as a piece of valuable information about you, the world, or the other person, the situation, whatever, um, you rather than taking it as a personal attack or a personal failure or something that causes you to feel bad about yourself, try to take the rejection as a bit of information, as a piece of knowledge, and see what value is encoded in this rejection. Does it say something about a specific behavior that I can change or improve on? Does it mean that I have to draw clearer boundaries? Does it mean that I have to state my desires more clearly? Because this is also something that many people don't think about when they are being rejected, is the fact that maybe they are not really clear on their desire or on their want or on their need, and are they unable to communicate it properly and effectively to the other person, and the other person then doesn't know what they actually need or want, and so they reject because there is too much energy required to find out the specifics. So they're more likely to just not engage, right? So it can also be an important sign that you could work on your communication, on the expression of your desires, on the expression of your wants and needs. Like a simple example, really simple example is, for me, I love to be physical with people, like to hug, to cuddle, to caress, to touch, and usually it's not something that you do outside of a romantic context, because this is also something that I should inquire within myself, right? Because I've been raised in a society that, I mean, I believe that doing these things, they are only done in a romantic context. However, it's not really true. You can change that belief. And so a big step for me was to, outside the romantic context, admit to a person I was laying with a girl in the same bed. And I felt like I wanted to hold her, to cuddle, to touch each other. And I just said it, hey, I want to cuddle. I want to do that. So by just merely expressing my desire in a clear way, it's a clear request. It's a clear statement. And she responded positively. She responded like, oh, you want a hug? And I'm like, yes. And so we started hugging, we started cuddling, and it was nice. It felt amazing. And so if I would have been maybe like wishy-washy about this desire, like, hey, maybe would you like to be a little bit close, whatever it is, like a wishy-washy, unclear statement, then she probably would have been like, leave me alone, or whatever it is, right? Because it's like a little bit awkward or uncertain, unsure, and then I would have been rejected. However, by stating clearly that I wanted to cuddle, then she also knows what I want, right? And it's sometimes important to be able to just verbalize and share what you want, what you need, and it's definitely something that I need to become more comfortable with, especially in like intimate settings, because it's something that I find very difficult to find balance between being too pushy and and experiencing or asking for what I want and need. And so the rejection, it's the most useful thing to do, I believe, in a situation where you feel rejected, is first ask yourself, am I really being rejected? Or is it just because of the situation that this is happening? Like, sometimes maybe a person might be in a bad mood, or they just have to leave because of their mom was calling, or they forgot about some kind of appointment and they reject you because they gotta go, whatever it is, right? It can be a situation that is completely unrelated to you personally, and then the rejection is just, it would have happened with anybody who was there in that specific time, right? Or it can be that's a flaw in your personality or in your behavior, or it can be that it's just your interpretation. You interpret this as it being a rejection when it's actually not at all. So whenever you feel rejected, ask yourself this question, like, am I really being rejected here? Is this really something about me, or is it more about the other person, or is it really more about the situation? And what information or what knowledge can I extract from the situation? Where can I learn from it? What does it cause? What feelings does it cause inside me? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel jealous? Do I feel sad? Do I feel disappointed? Do I feel angry? Try to find out the emotions that you're feeling whenever you find yourself in a situation where you feel rejected, and go into it, like, think about it a little bit. I did it this morning. I felt kind of rejected yesterday, on an event. It's the specifics are not really important, but I really asked myself, like, okay, well, why do I feel rejected? Is it really a rejection? Is there something that I can do about it in the future? And how can I move forward from now onwards? And by asking yourself these questions, you you are able to use this situation to grow, to learn something about yourself, instead of feeling stuck, and instead of feeling sorry for yourself or being like a victim. Oh, I always get rejected. No, that's not at all the approach that I want to that I want to take in these types of situations. I don't want to be a victim and feel sorry about myself. Not at all. What I do want is to think about, okay, what exactly happened here, and what causes me to feel like this, and is it really true, and is there something that I can learn from this? And I believe that this is a very helpful attitude, um, to have towards situations where rejection is possible, or where rejection is happening, or where you perceive a rejection, because it's at least in my case, I tend to perceive rejection when there is actually no rejection. I have a set of beliefs that cause me to believe that something is a rejection when it's actually not. But by becoming aware of these rejections, and by digging deeper, and by asking myself these questions, I can then figure out that, okay, it's actually, in this situation, it's actually just a belief I have about, wait, is my computer, I hope it's not too laggy. So it's actually just a belief I have, and that caused me to think it is a rejection when it's actually not, right? So you wanna you wanna pay attention to whatever is happening. You wanna pay attention to the details of the situation, and be critical, right? Just don't take everything at face value. Look deeper. Be critical with yourself. Ask these questions. Why do I feel like this? What does it say about me? Is it just a situational thing, or is it really about a specific behavior that I engage in that is actually not really good, or is it the other person? And learn from it. Really learn from it. So I feel a little bit uncomfortable with my computer being so laggy, so I hope my video is not messed up. But that's kind of what I wanted to say about this topic for now. I will definitely make more videos in the future about rejection, because I think it's a large topic that many of us can learn from, including myself. And yes, it's a big part of being a human being, right? Because we are social beings, we we tend to put a lot of value. Um, Human social interactions are very valuable to us, and crucial. They play a crucial role in our survival. So yes, there is a lot of systems in place that allow us to navigate social situations, social interactions, and rejection is a big part of it, right? Because when we were living in tribes, at least this is evolutionary psychology, right? It's still debatable whether it's true or not, and you want to stay critical, and question everything that has been told or has been researched, right? You don't want to take anything at face value at any point in life. I believe that's a healthy mindset to have, to not just absorb knowledge and be like, oh yes, it's true. Well, is it really? Take a deeper look. Be critical, right? Just it's always dangerous to take everything at face value. You want to do some your own research. Talk to different people. Get a little bit more evidence, and then whenever you see that okay, all these things they make sense and they line up and they add up, then you can start to believe things with more certainty. However, you want to keep a part of you that is still that keeps being critical about, because knowledge is constantly being updated. New research comes out. Every truth is a half truth, and it's really really true. So the things that I'm going to say right now are things I believe um, that I believe through extensive research and talking about stuff with people, and but that doesn't mean they're true. However, it can be useful to know these things. So when we were living in tribes, we depended on our tribe as a group, right? And if we were rejected, if we were socially rejected, then we become outcasts. So we get casted out of the tribe, and then basically we're alone, and the likelihood of us dying is so much higher, right? The risk is so high. We just die without our tribe because, sorry, we cannot defend ourselves, or we are way stronger as a group. So there is a natural biological fear that's built into us that is afraid of rejection, afraid of social rejection. So that's why a lot of people are very afraid of speaking up in large groups or public speaking and stuff like that, because they fear that they would be rejected, and that means basically death. So we are very afraid of being socially rejected, and it's built into our system to be very aware of our social positioning and the way that people interact with us and the way we are being perceived, and rejection plays a big role in that. So there's always this fear of rejection, and if you keep yourself in that fear, then it will only make things kind of worse, because you'll start to be more awkward in specific interactions, or you will, it's like the Murphy's law. You'll think about it, and then it will actually happen because you behave in the way you think about it, right? So this is also another video. It's more like also law of attraction stuff, and like the things you're afraid of. By putting yourself in that mind state, you actually subconsciously act them out, and people will probably be more likely to reject you if you enter a situation with the belief that, oh, I'm afraid of being rejected, right? Because you will act in a way that probably is conducive to the rejection. So you want to be aware of the fact that, okay, it's natural for me to be a little bit fearful and to interpret rejection as something very, very painful, because it usually is. But you wanna dig deeper. You wanna be aware of what's going on, and you want to question whatever is going on, and you want to question yourself and the situation and the person and everything around it. And then you can conclude that, okay, it was actually not at all a rejection. It was just a bit of information that I can now use to grow and to continuously improve myself, to become more compassionate, to learn more about myself, to be more loving, to be more understanding. And there's huge potential in these situations if you know how to catch them, if you know how to become aware, if you are paying attention to the details. And there's a lot of knowledge and value to be found in these situations, in this pain that you experience when you perceive someone or something rejecting you. So yes, again, question what's happening. Uh, don't take it personally. Learn from it. Realize that a lot of it comes down to the perception of the situation, your perception. I made another video about this, the power of perception. You should watch it if you are into this kind of thought, ways of thought, right? So you should check it out, and be aware that you can absolutely learn something from this, and by looking at things like this, it will also significantly reduce the amount of suffering you experience, because you can reframe it and you can use it in a positive way. So on that note, I want to end this video. So thank you for being brave. Thank you for looking inwards. Thank you for making yourself and this planet a better place, one step at a time. And as always, thanks for watching. Talk soon, guys. Bye.